Tag, my name is Laura, and today I will be talking about how we brought our dogs to Germany with us. Jared is not here right now, he is starting his new job, so it's just me. But I just wanted to sit down and talk about how we got our dogs to Germany with us, how much we paid, the entire process, and just any tips for anyone else who is traveling with their dogs to Germany. Lass uns anfangen. It's better when Jared says it, but okay. We have two Boston Terriers. Their names are Winnie and Heidi. Winnie is 2 years old and Heidi is 8 months old. And they both weigh about 11 pounds or 5 kilograms. So just so you have an idea of what they look like and how much they weigh. The dogs were our carry-on on the airplane, so we checked them in at the airport and they came with us on the airplane, which was really great. Even if you're flying with your dog to Germany and they go underneath the airplane, this video should still help you. You most likely will need the same paperwork we had getting your dogs from the United States to Germany. The first thing I would definitely do is check to see if the airline you're flying with allows dogs. With Delta, there was not a direct flight from Charlotte to Frankfurt. We had to do Charlotte to Atlanta and then Atlanta to Charlotte. But the issue is that the dogs weren't allowed on the small planes from Charlotte to Atlanta. So we had to drive 4 hours to Atlanta, which was fine. Not a big deal. So definitely just do your research on if your airline allows dogs and if the airplane you're taking allows dogs as well. Definitely look through. There's a whole article on Delta's website that tells you which airplanes do allow dogs or not. It depends on the size and how much the airplane can carry. So that's a huge factor that I'm glad we did research on, because that would have really sucked. Once you book your flight with your airline, you do have to call and request to have the dogs on the flight. We were only allowed to have 4 dogs on our flight in total, and Winnie and Heidi were 2 of them, so we were on hold with Delta for like 4 hours just to get the dogs on the flight with us. So definitely call your airline the second you book that ticket with your dog so that you have a spot for them. So now I'll show you the bag we use for international flights with Delta. It did have to have 4 sides of ventilation and it had to fit underneath the seat in front of us, which we had to find the dimensions ourselves on the website. Each airplane has different size compartments underneath the seats in front of you, so if your bag is too big, it won't fit underneath the seat, then you probably can't fly with your dog. Some airlines are stricter than others. If it sticks out a little more, some people care, some don't, but definitely do your research on the size of the bag you need and what kind. I will leave the link for the bag we got in the description below. We went through 3 different types of carriers before we chose the one we did because I just wanted the dogs to be as comfortable as possible. It was a 8-hour flight, I believe, so they were in there for quite a long time, so I wanted to get the best one for them. And it was pretty cheap as well. I think it was like $25, so not bad. Also, do you like my little backdrop here? It is September 1st, so Halloween earrings are out, my little jack-o'-lanterns, and Halloween decor, so I'm happy. I love fall, so as you can see, this is the front compartment. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides of ventilation. Like I said, do your research on if your airline requires 3 sides of ventilation or 4. International flights for Delta required 4. This is actually technically a cat carrier. That's what it was advertised as, but I really liked how it has the circle versus the square because it gives them more room. Winnie and Heidi are Boston Terriers. They have pointy ears, so I don't know, I feel like this just gave them more room. It probably didn't, but I liked it. So, and it's really sturdy, and it has little side pockets here that I had all their paperwork in there. Comes with a Velcro mat for the dogs to lay on. It's pretty rock hard. So I cut up their favorite blanket into a little size that fit around the little pad just so they had something that smelled like home. I don't know. I just want them to be comfortable. I was so stressed about the dogs flying, so I just went over the top there. But you don't need to add that because there is a little fuzzy side on the bottom. That is the bag we went with, and it fit the airline dimensions perfectly underneath the seat in front of us. The girls both had their own bag. They didn't share this bag. I got a couple questions on the last video I made before we moved. They each have their own bag. They didn't share one. We had the dogs sleep in their bags when we left the house. Instead of putting them in their kennel, we put them in the bags. I wanted them to get as used to the bag as possible so that they'd be very comfortable flying. The week of our flight, we did have the dogs sleep in their bags like every other night, just so then they're used to sleeping in their bag overnight, being in there for 8 hours at a time, and just being comfortable in there. We'd give them a treat, put them in there, give them one of their fish bene bones, and they'd go right in there and just chew it and not be scared of it. So I would also play like airplane ASMR sounds on Spotify, which is great, by the way. It has sounds of the airplane taking off, the white noise of the airplane, the like dinging of the bells, a pilot speaking or the captain speaking, landing. So I played that all the time, and it just, I swear, it made the biggest difference with the dogs because, like I said, Winnie has some anxiety, so it really helped her, I think, in the end. I definitely recommend going to this website. It's called aphis.usa.gov, and it gives you all the information you need about what documents you need to fly, about vaccinations, everything you need to fly with your dog, in bullet points of what you need to do. It was very, very helpful. I would definitely look at that before you book anything to see if your dog can even fly. So once you go through that website, it is now time to find a vet that is accredited to sign off on their paperwork. The vet we used to use was not allowed to sign off on their paperwork for their EU passport and health records. I had to find a new vet, which I just asked my old vet, you know of any accredited veterinarians for health records for Europe, and she was like, yeah, here you go, here's your email, reach out to her. Once you find a vet that can sign off on the paperwork, definitely give them a call and explain your situation. This website is really cool because you can select your destination country. Obviously I chose Germany because that's where we flew into, but you can look at all the different regulations for the country you plan on moving to and what they require, so it's a great website. So for Winnie and Heidi, they both needed to have their rabies vaccination. They both needed to be microchipped, and it has to be the 15-digit microchip. I don't know if that's an easy thing to fix or not. Luckily, we didn't have to do that, but definitely look into that. If your dog gets their rabies shot before they're microchipped, they have to get another rabies shot. I don't know why, so Heidi had to go and get another rabies shot during the first appointment with the accredited veterinarian. So keep that in mind. You might have to get another rabies shot for your dog if they got it before they got microchipped. Super weird, but we had to do it, whatever. First vet appointment, since it was with a new vet, the dogs both went through a physical, made sure they were nice and healthy and had all their shots. Our second appointment with the vet was exactly 10 days prior to when we landed in the country. This part is very important. If you go to the vet 11 days before you land in the country or anymore, the health records are not valid anymore. Don't wait until 5 days before you fly out or 4 days before you fly out, because it's a long process to get through. We sat at the vet for like 3 hours getting all the paperwork done. The vet was great. She made sure every identification number was correct, that all the information was correct, and it was confusing because the documents were in German as well, so we had to make sure the dates were correct, and it was a very long process, so just don't wait until the last minute to go. I would go 10 days before you land in that country. That's when you should go to the vet, just to play it safe. The online signature was not working for my vet, so we had to pay $100 for the documents to be expedited to New York or New Jersey for the health records to be approved. For all the paperwork to be signed off and sent off by the vet, it was like $560 for both of the dogs together. So very expensive process, but to me it's worth it if we want our dogs with us here in Germany. So just keep that in mind. It's not a cheap thing to do. We did not receive the dog's paperwork until the day before we flew out to Germany, because it took 9 days, eight or 9 days just to get the paperwork back to us. So when we got to the airport, we checked in our bags, got our tickets, had to pay for the dog's airline ticket, basically. Like they were our carry-on bag, so I was able to carry a purse and then one dog, and Jared had a bag and one dog as well. So you can't have a carry-on bag, a personal item, and the dog with you. You can only have carry-on item and a personal item. So this was our carry-on item, and each dog, it costs $200 for them to fly with us. They gave us this little piece of paper that says the owner's name, the dog's name, our flight number, and our seat number. Now it was time to go through security, and we did have to take the dogs out of the bag, so bring a leash and a collar with them, and they had to scan their bags through the little machine, and we had to walk through the metal detector with the dogs too. So just keep in mind, you do have to take your dog out of the bag, go through security with them, so just bring a leash and a collar, so just so you have it. And we did pack treats for the dogs in an unopened bag just to praise them for doing so good through that whole process. We did just keep them out of the bag. We're happy to walk them around before our 8-hour flight, so that was really nice. Once we got on the plane, the dogs went right underneath the seat in front of us. We did not take them out of the bag during the flight at all. Some airlines are strict about that, and we didn't want to get in trouble with anybody. They just sat in their little bags, literally slept the whole time. They each had a little hard bone to chew in their bag to keep them occupied, but besides that, it was an overnight flight, so they literally just slept the whole time. Winnie got a little antsy at some point, but you know, I just kind of pet her through the bag and she was fine. Heidi did have an accident, so she did have to come out of the bag, and we had to clean the whole mess up with my mom, and that was very chaotic. So when we landed in Germany, my mom and I, since we are German citizens, just took the dogs through the German side with their passports, and we got through with no issues. You might get asked some questions about why you have the dogs, what you're doing with the dogs here, etc. So that's everything we really did. Germany doesn't require quarantine the dogs, so literally we went through the airport, got our baggage, and went straight to our house here in Germany, and that was really it. So pretty long process. I know this might be a pretty long video. Thank you for staying if you have. I hope this video was pretty beneficial. I wish I had a video like this when we moved over with the dogs, so I hope this helps somebody. Please like, subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and we will catch you next time. Cheers!